Talking about this Bataclan, you can tell us all about this Bataclan shit you're uncovered,
Oh,
didn't you?
I've
Yeah.
talked about that loads of times already.
Flat Earth.
I
Oh
haven't heard none of
no,
it.
no, no, no,
I
no.
haven't heard none of it.
Well,
No,
Flat
I
Earth.
know that
I'll
line.
tell you off air. Like I feel like a broken record is a couple of nights.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something that I was somebody put up today, and I've been taking photographs of the sun and the moon over the last year and a half. And
Uh,
when you look at this stuff where NASA prescribes and they show these pictures of this huge great sun, and Earth is this tiny little planet. But
mm,
I mean, in reality, when you go up there, when you look at this stuff where NASA prescribes and they show these pictures of this huge great sun and
am
Yeah.
am I creating an echo? Do I have to put my headphones
no,
in?
that was me.
All right, okay. What were we saying there? I
Yeah,
got it.
when you look at these pictures that NASA prescribes to us, and it's the sun is this huge great thing, but when you actually look up in the sky yourself, it isn't that big, is it?
It is big, definitely.
Well,
Is it?
I think NASA's taking in like zoomed in photographs, aren't they? That's
Yeah,
it. That's a my question. That's like that far
Did
away.
anyone see that fake Stanley Kubrick interview? Anyone
I,
see
uh,
that?
I I tried to watch it, but I couldn't. Honestly, I couldn't watch that. Did you? The guy that made it just. I don't know.
I
I,
saw it
I,
last night, posted,
we're
and
live, aren't we?
yep.
Oh, okay.
Evening, hello.
Hey,
I seen bits of it, mate, and it was just the guy that made it just his editing, interruptions and everything. I just put me off it, and I couldn't listen to it.
Yeah, well, there's
So
a
I
bit.
don't know.
I think the full interview is 27 minutes, and that's the bit where it's like that's the unedited version, which reveals it's
Yeah.
like a hoax. A lot of
Oh, it's
people
a
got
hoax.
sucked in. Yeah,
I
a
had
lot of
an
people
idea
got
it
sucked
would be.
into that. Yeah, a lot of
so
people
what's
have been
this? Sorry,
this
what's this? I don't think
this
I'm aware of
so-called
it.
interview with Stanley Kubrick that I think the Daily Express had it in there on their website as a story. Sure, it did.
Hmm.
And it's been proven to be a hoax anyway. So again, people who
So
were
what's the story?
well, he's been interviewed saying the moon landings were a complete hoax,
Ah, okay.
and basically reaffirming what conspiracy theorists are saying, whatever, saying what people have seen or made their own minds up on. He's reaffirming in this so-called interview 3 days before he died, which is,
Hmm.
but it's turned out to be just a hoax. He's an actor called Tom. So
I
again,
wonder.
it was just interesting to see that last night and people commenting, and then it reveals it's a hoax, and then whatever, and it's again deliberately done to mess with things, I think. So
Hmm.
Wonder what they're trying to distract people with that.
mm,
What's the distraction with this shit?
yeah, why would they just put
Well,
that out there?
this is a wee kind of thought that came into my mind, and it's just totally going completely round outside of the box, and
Yeah.
like I was saying to Murph there, talking about all the events that have been going on the last week and doing a wee bit of research, and just kind of finding out who the main actors are, as in the religious side and mythical side and stuff, And one of the things that did sort of jump out is about Horus, Seth and Horus.
Hmm.
Biblically, Seth and Horus had an argument. They
Yeah.
Seth blinded Horus in one eye, and but it healed, and that healing symbolizes, the new moon going into the full moon, and sort of like the eye of Horus is what some um, circles call it, as in the all-seeing eye, and then it kind of just set me off into sort of universal mode and stuff like that, and sort of like woo and things, you know, and it might very well be the old seeing eye, you know. They might have some sort of high-tech camera system facing sat on that moon that's always pointed this side of the earth. Who knows, you know, and
Yeah.
so that's what led into just as I was drifting off to sleep, you know, and I woke up a better man.
Yeah, but you came up with some interesting facts on this, but the name, the Bataclan, and the
Yeah,
Angels of Death Metal, it would turn out
Angel,
to be, and
the
Eagles of Death Metal with the birds or something that carries ISIS's coffin or something, was it? No, so something like that.
well, they're the soul guides. They guide the souls to heaven. You know, like in lots of different ancient cultures and religions. You know,
Yeah.
the bird is symbolized death or the passing of death to heaven, or like in Hindi, the bird was the soul in between reincarnations.
Right.
Where else? I've got it written down. There's something about South Africa. You know, all birds are dead people. In Turkey, the Turkey, the sort of meaning of Turkey is the soul has flown away, you know, and that they use for death as well, you know, and that sort of expression that they use for death, as in the soul has flown away, is the meaning of, or one of the meanings of the name of Turkey. That's why it's the bird, sacrificial bird.
Turkey. So the name Turkey means the bird that's flown away.
One of the interpretations of Turkey.
That's weird. That and it's also a bird that can't fly.
Well, Turkey is the sacrificed soul bird. You know, the soul that flew away, and I think that's what it's been set up for. Again, you know.
Well, it's always been the elephant in the room, if you ask me.
Yeah.
When it comes to European politics and Asian and Middle East, it's kind of right in the middle of all three. It's Middle Eastern, it's European, it's Asian.
Yeah.
So it's always been the elephant in the room when it comes to us, and there's no, it's no secret that the British and the Ottomans were kind of buddies when the Ottomans were fighting the Austrians and the Belgians and everybody else, that the British were kind of in bed with them. Do you know what I mean?
The majority of the world powers over time generally were, though, weren't they? Yeah, and but that's the thing. They all have had the bird as significance, and it's like I was saying the other night, especially in Roman and Egyptian times. You know, when a leader died or a pharaoh died, they would release an eagle, and that would take the soul to guide the soul to its seat in heaven. But the soul bird could mean an empire as well. You know, the end of an empire. And that's the most significant thing at the moment, is the ending of one thing and the beginning of another, because we're right at the point. Well, the 8th of December also was the point of ascension. You know, it's actually 7th house. It's the point of ascension and descension. You know, you ascend into your new life, you know, and descend into your old one, and then you come back out again, and that's what happens at the equilibrium, the Passover, you know.
Is there any similarities with the double eagle that you see on a lot of European countries' flags? I mean, the one that you see at the moment is the double eagle on the Russian flag.
Well, that it all comes down to the same, you know. The double eagle. I'll get back to the story anyway. So the eagles of death symbolize the soul guide for the soul, or the soul of an empire. Okay, and Bataclan is means the soul in death. walks step by step in death with the army. So backwards, it's the army of death walks step by step with ISIS. And so ISIS, the eagle, is generally termed as ISIS guiding the soul to heaven, basically. And when you get the two eagles, we'll get to the two eagles just in a second. You know, the relevance to the guide bird as well in Jewish tradition is the hoyle. And the hoyle was the holy bird, an anagram of hoyle, funny enough. It's the holy bird that was in the Garden of Eden. And when Adam ate the forbidden fruit, he passed it, traditionally, in Jewish tradition, he passed it to all the other, shared it with all the other animals in the Garden of Eden. And the hoyle bird refused because it was forbidden by God. And in return, as a gift, God gave the hoyle a kind of immortality, which means he would reincarnate every 490 years. You know, he wouldn't die; he would just sleep, and then a flame would go over him, and out of the ashes would come an egg, which would hatch a fully yes, the phoenix, which would hatch out a fully grown hoyle. And now, let's take into consideration that we're talking about the symbolization of the eagle of death being the sole guide, as in ISIS is the sole guide. That's a symbology. And so some countries have one sole guide and some countries have two. And that's symbolizing the Sisters of Mercy, because ISIS is generally a pair, you know, because it is a mother, a daughter, and God's wife. Well, you know, a mother and God's wife. So it's the Sisters of Mercy, you know, and generally it's, you know, the pillars of Boaz and what's the other pillar's name? Yavlem? No. What's the two pillars called? The two pillars that you go through.
Shaka.
Pillars of the Mediterranean.
Well, just anywhere, you know, anywhere.
Pillars of Hercules.
Yes, but yes, and in sort of Egyptian and Masonic circles, one's called Boaz and the other one's called.
Oh, right, okay.
I can't remember. So anyway, they are also termed the Sisters of Mercy too. You know, lots and lots of things, or in fact, nearly everything can be uniformed down to either Osiris or Isis. You know. And so with the two eagles is the Sisters of Mercy. So yeah, we've got the soul eagle, the soul guide.
So you reckon that was a ritual then?
Yeah, walking with the army of souls that walks step by step with Isis at the Bataclan, and on the 8th of December, they came back. They came back 3 weeks later and sang a song, Power to the People, with Bono, on exactly the same day. The holy doors were opened in the Basilica, and this is the year of mercy and justice. You know, it's a very, very special, rare Jubilee year, and it's the accumulation of a 490-year cycle. And the start of that 490-year cycle was the Reformation, you know, of the Protestants, the split between the Protestants and the Catholics. It was 490 years before that, or before that was the schism, and that was the Orthodox and the Vatican. And 490 years before that was the split up of the Orient religions in the Vatican, and 490 years before that was the start of Christianity, i.e. the birth of Christ. 490 years before that was when when God revealed himself to Daniel and prophesied the coming of Christ. That's why they think that this is going to be the second coming of Christ. You know, that's why the holy doors have been opened up. You know, this is the 500 years, the birth of the Phoenix. You know, every 500 years, the church has a jumble sale or a rummage sale. You know, they get out the old and come with the new. And yeah, so a lot of things kind of accumulated, and a lot of different cycles accumulated to the 8th of December, just 3 days ago. And so we're having a year of rest. And within that year of rest, you know, allegedly everybody has got to confess their sins, you know, go through the holy door, confess their sins, and they'll be given a task of penance. Let's just call it an indulgence, you know.
So this is the year of this is the year of atonement, is it?
Yeah, but yeah, but the interesting thing about this not only is that they've opened every cathedral or in every diocese across the world. The holy doors they claim might not be open for a year because this is the last one, you know, this is the end of the cycle, and the 70 basically the 4 cycles accumulate or end somewhere in the middle of 2016. The date isn't known, but I would imagine it would be around about summer solstice or the spring equinox in 2016. People, you know, the legend has it that when one of these cycles come down and the holy door gets opened, nobody knows when that holy door closes again. Like it could be the day after it opened. Well, it opened on the 9th, you know. It could be in like February, or the Pope could just decide to close it whenever he wants. And the day that door closes is the start of the new beginning, you know, and coming up with what we're getting into with the New World Order and the new religions and the whole ISIS situation happening. And
the release of
the whole hidden ISIS connection that's just been sort of displayed in Paris at the moment, you know. And,
well, apparently ISIS are threatening to kill the Pope now, or there's some kind of underlying sort of video they put out. They're going to attack the Vatican and.
Never. That's all shit.
It's okay, of course, but I mean, it's a propaganda by the mainstream. I saw today, but yeah, just interesting you mentioned that sort of stuff, and that's kind of propaganda's coming out of the mainstream at the same time, in a sense of ISIS and Pope and all that shit.
Yeah, and I've been tuning into the TV every now and again. My niece came in. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday, and she had EastEnders on, and I just caught a few wee glimpses of it and stuff. I was on the computer, and some of the stories that they were telling on EastEnders were kind of like biblical, you know, and exactly what I was telling you now. You know, the mother is concerned about the 2 brothers. You know, one's a direct son, the other's a stepson. You know, and they argued. You know, one of them got injured and things like this, and this is Horus and Seth with ISIS, and then there's another sort of situation gets set up that is one of the stories of Osiris and Isis and the baby, you know, Horus, you know, and how they're making their preparations for their new beginning. You know, this will be the last Christmas, and after this they'll be celebrating going forth on their new journey, you know. And I'm sitting there and thinking, did I just fucking hear that, or am I just tuned into complete fucking, you know?
I think they repeat the same patterns, you know, because you go back through that EastEnders sort of script and drama over the years. That happens a lot. That sort of setup, that kind of, they plant that kind of behaviour or that sort of thing, that kind of ideas into people. That's how you should.
As above, so below.
Yeah.
It's
deeper than that. They've been doing that all the way back with comedy series and everything, all the way back. Because since the Amnoys posted that video about from the warning from '72 about from in sickness and in health till that do his part, I've been looking back at those series, and I've noticed that in that in the second series, they use half of the acts and half of the storylines that they used in the first series. They use in the second series, and there's one in the first series that I've just found called the TV license. If you go, you'll find it on YouTube. It's an episode of In Sickness and in Till Death Us Do Part, called the TV license. Go and have a look at it, because I really don't know where to start with religion, politics, the BBC. You listen to this episode of that, and it's just one thing after another, and I haven't even got to the end of it yet. Honestly, God, I've still got about 10, 15 minutes of this episode left, but everybody should go and have a look at it.
Isn't
it? It's like it's like. I can't even tell you. Honestly, God, just go and watch it. When we get off this angle, go and watch this episode. I'll post it in the thingy in a minute.
It's like watching it with a fresh pair of eyes, Murph, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like that iPad Pro, you know. And if you haven't seen that, go and have a look at that and just take a wee look. You see what you can get out of it, you know. And it's got loads of different hidden meanings and stuff. It's funny you should say that, Murph, because was it yesterday or the day before? It must have been yesterday as well, you know, the news. And there was a, you know, that uplifting bit of news they have at the end sometimes, you know, and here's something to make you smile. So it was a guy, Daniel, okay, wrote a letter to Santa, and it got stuck up the chimney. A builder found it 70 years later and handed it back, and the builder in fact gave the letter writer everything that was on the letter. In the letter, I'm not saying that properly, but the story goes is allegedly there is this young boy called Daniel 70 years ago writes a letter to Santa. I want this, I want that, and a bit of paper and sticks it up the chimney. 70 years later, builders, you know, come in to strip the chimney out and find the letter and post it on Facebook, and the owner of the letter comes back and says, "Oh, that's my letter," you know what I mean? And the builder says, "Oh, okay, well, I'll give you everything you asked for," you know what I mean? And this is the parable, you know, it's Daniel from the Bible, the 70s. Okay, has asked Santa for a present. 70 years later. Santa
I don't know the parable. I don't know that parable. So it's
it's in Daniel. The whole 70, the 777s things that I've just been talking about. You know, the 490-year cycle is in Daniel, and you know, when will we be forgiven? And God says, "Oh, we 7 weeks of 7," and he thinks that's 49 days. You know, and he says, "No, it's not that. It's 70 weeks of 7, which means it's 70 jubilees." You know what I mean? And am I getting that right?
And what's a jubilee again?
10 jubilees. 10 jubilees, which is 490 years. That's written in Daniel, and then 490 years from when God said that was when Jesus was born, allegedly in the Bible. So, you know, a block of 70, you know, and in the Bible, 7 or 70 can mean the day, 1 day, 1 week, 1 year, 100 years, 1,000 years. You know, it just depends on what context you're writing it in. You know, so and that's the whole thing of just now of the year of justice and mercy is that 7-year cycle accumulation.
See, for someone who's
and it was on the news.
See, for someone who's omnipotent and like all powerful and you know can speak to anybody at any time, and he loved his fucking riddles, didn't he? You know, giving everything 7 meanings and 25 fucking side meanings. Come on. I mean, how does anybody believe that it's obviously connected to like the 12 signs of the zodiac and the son of God. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you look at it that that's the relationship between it. You know, the stars and the sun and the what do you call that? What do we call that? Fucking the horoscope? Not the horoscope. What's it called? the
Astrology.
Astrotheology.
I don't know what the fuck
Astrotheology.
I don't know what the fuck it is, mate. I don't know. All I know is it's. I don't know. See, for me, like I say, I've said this a few times. It's all right to understand all that. It's all right to look at politics and religion and shit now, and looking at how we got here and who caused us to be in this problem and who's the players now, and it's them and it's them. It doesn't do us any good about the problem, though, does it? Doesn't we've got a very real problem right now that we need to fucking sort out, and everybody can see it. Some people are too afraid to say anything about it until somebody else stands up and says something about it. But all this looking at religions and looking at politics from the past and who played this and who done that, it doesn't really do us any favours today, does it?
Well, it does in a way.
It does and it doesn't. Do you know what I mean? Is it doesn't help. What I mean is, I don't know. I think I'm starting to sound like blunt. I need more action, if you know what I mean.
Well, the interesting thing about all this, Murph, is we sometimes we sit here and we discuss things that happened in the past and things that go on in the future. This is happening right here, right now. That happened on the 8th. That was all fact. And whether we believe it or not. And even whether they believe it or not, they're trying to make out that that's how it is, I mean, and that's the whole issue, I mean, because that was what happened on the 8th, and the next day on
just
the
going
9th,
around in circles, though, aren't we, with it all?
Was on the
news, inform people,
explaining that actually happened on the day before, I mean, because Daniel asked God, when will we be forgiven? And God answered him in a period or a block of 7 later. And that's what happened on the 8th, because allegedly that's what the 8th symbolizes, because it's around accumulation. And they are now forgiven. They go through a year of rest, and then shit kicks off.
So do you reckon we don't have any more of their false flags for the year now?
Oh, lots of them, I would imagine.
Yeah. So what do you reckon that was about then? It was obviously a ceremony. It was some kind of fucking blood sacrifice for them, wasn't it?
Here's the other thing that I didn't Murph, but the other people know, is the story about the Bataclan itself, the building in France, because all these things have different levels, and the Bataclan, the building itself, was written after an operetta called the Bataclan, was written in France, and back in 1855 or.
So the theatre was named after an operetta called the Bataclan.
Called the Bataclan. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Now, Bataclan is also a rebel song. Okay, and the Bataclan, it means the same. An army of souls marching side by side with ISIS to death. Or an army of souls, an army of dead souls, basically, or reincarnated souls marching side by side with ISIS.
The army of the dead.
The army of the dead, basically, and so anyway, the dude that wrote this, he wrote it in 1850. He wrote Orpheus of the Underworld. He was considered the Steven Spielberg or the George Lucas of the day, and he wrote satirical comedies or operettas, and in the style of they tell what they're going to do, like in some movies, it's like, it's signals and symbols, and they tell you what they're going to do, and it's setting the theme of this as well, and so. The short story of the operetta goes is there's an empire. It could be any empire, but it's the Chinese empire, and they're actually referring to the French Empire. It's the Chinese empire that it's and so you got the emperor, and you got the emperor's wife, who may or may not be his daughter. That's another thing. But anyway, so you got the emperor's wife, and then you got the chief of staff, and the chief of staff's heading, or the chief of guard is heading a conspiracy against the emperor. And so the princess is sitting outside on the street on a bench. She's reading a book, reading a French book, and she looks over and there's this guy sitting next to her, and he's reading a French newspaper, and she realizes that he's not Chinese, that he's actually French, you know, and he vice versa realizes that she's not Chinese, that she's actually French. And so the story turns out that he was in the Merchant Navy, shipwrecked in China. The Emperor captured him and forced him to sing the Bataclan, the rebel song, for all of eternity. It's an operetta, remember, so he's sitting there singing the Bataclan. And she was a ballet dancer on a troupe in China and got kidnapped and forced to marry the Emperor. So they ran away together. Chief of Staff catch them, take him up to the Emperor. He orders the death. The Chief of Staff goes away to sort it out, and they beg for mercy. And they beg for mercy in Chinese. They realize that he can't speak Chinese. They sing in Italian and realize he can't speak Italian, so they sing in French, and he recognizes it. So they realize that the Emperor of China is not Chinese, he's French. You know, so he owns up and says, "Yeah, I'm not French. I'm not Chinese. I'm actually French. You know, I'm a Viscount from France. I was forced to be the Chinese emperor, but I don't want to be it now because I killed the 5 most virtuous people in the land." And asked the guy who ran away with his wife, "Do you want to be emperor?" And he's like, "Nah, I don't want to, mate." You know. And then at that time, the chief of guard walks in, the guy who's sort of heading this conspiracy against the emperor, and to overthrow him. And he's like, "Right, okay, you're not a welcome man in China, and neither are you two. I'll offer you safe passage in return for being the new emperor." Okay, and it ends there. So like the whole moral of the story is power is a joke and the court is mere mummery, as in people aren't who you think they are, you know. And the mere mummery means mummery as in wearing a mask, you know, false impression. And that's referring to Napoleon III and the Second French Empire. And now, because Napoleon wasn't French, you know, some say he was English, other people say he was Swiss. You know, me, I think he's one of the royal things that have been moved into France. Anyway, but his motto was
the first Napoleon wasn't French, or the third.
None of them were. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. I was going to say,
yeah, and so the motto, his motto is where it started: the liberté, equality, fraternité. You know, liberty, equality, and brotherhood. And more to the point, his anthem was "Departing for Syria." Napoleon III's anthem, national anthem for the Second French Empire, was "Departing for Syria." So that's where the whole sort of Syria, ISIS, Bataclan, false flag was into that side of things. And then you get the Charlie Hebdo attack, you know, at the start of the year. Now, I've been talking about this, you know, 7 groupings of 7, you know, 10 70s, or 10 jubilees, or 10 blocks of 7 is the 490, you know, the whole accumulation and the cycle. Now that cycle has got an ancient mathematical figure attached to it, and like a unit of measurement. And that unit of measurement is number 10, and in brackets the 7 beside it, you know. And it almost looks like 10 to the power 7, but the 7's in brackets. And that unit of measurement is called a hebdo. Okay. Now, the government, the cabinet of the European Parliament, or cabinet of the president of the European Parliament, rather, than meet every 7 days, you know, is also called a hebdo. And but hebdo is short for hebdomenus, which means the 7th house, which is Aquarius. And no, it's Libra. You know, with the scales of justice and mercy, the 7th house, which is Isis. But the scales of justice and mercy is the most important thing, because on the 8th of December, the Pope opened the doors of justice and mercy. You know,
right.
And with this whole thing that's tied in, you know, and they tie in the Bataclan with the Pope opening the doors, because they sang "Power to the People" on that day in the Bataclan with Bono, and "Power to the People." But we already know, or the people who do know that the whole Bataclan building name itself means power is a joke and the court's mere mummery. You know, power is
So
a
it's a
joke,
joke on the people.
fake. It's just one level after level after level after
So
level
it's basically a joke on the people.
well,
If
well,
Batacon's a
yes,
joke and they're saying power to the people, then it's a joke on the people.
yeah. Well, you know, if it was an attack by the bad guys that we think was an attack, then these 4 or 5 boys, you know, are just as smart as we are.
Hmm.
Well, you know, it was all done as a very, very, very deep, learned meaning, you know,
Hmm.
because it takes a lot of untangling to try
It,
and
it
pick that up.
sends messages to certain people, do you think?
Pass, I don't know.
They
Clue. You know,
Think
there is little messages that get sent out here, there, and everywhere.
it's like a game between them where this is their move, that's right. Now this other section of them has got a counter move.
Mm,
I don't know. It just seems, you know, the way everything, like you say, is multi-layered. And
yeah,
I think it's more than just scaring us, and more than just diluting the populations. And I think there's more to it, with the dates that seem so significant to things, and people seem to see things, numerology and whatever this fucking gematria is, you know.
mm,
Um, People seem to recognise these patterns in things like this, so I think there's more to it than just the things
yeah.
that even I'm seeing, because I don't know nothing about gematria or
Well,
numerology.
yes, definitely. And so over the last couple of days, I've been trying to tie all those religious and mythical cycles into astronomical fact, you know, and
Mm,
just with the whole 7 clocks of God and what a sorrow is, and to see if there any of them fall in conjunction with the cycles of the planets, you know. And
yeah,
there was more 4 main planets. The ancient Sumerians or the early Babylonians sort of recognized anyway, and so I'm just cracking through them at the moment, you know, and come
yeah,
up with a few different things, you know, like the 70 years times 7 times 7, you know, is okay, or basically the 490-year cycle, you know,
yeah.
times that by 7, it comes to the 3,430-year cycle, you know. So, I don't know if you've heard about Society of the Spectacle going on about the 2,400-year cycle and 1,200-year cycle. And
Gary,
so the 3,430 is the second coming of Christ from the day that Daniel prophesied the first coming of Christ. Okay, now from that date to somewhere in the middle of 2016, that comes up to the 3,430-year cycle, you know. So I was thinking about, so what happens further on there, okay? And so I'm looking at the planets, okay, and first I come on to Saturn, okay. Now Saturn is a seventh of the radius of the Sun, okay,
yeah,
and Saturn's orbit around the Sun is 7 times that 3,430 figure for the second coming of Christ within the middle of April in 2016. That is
right,
part of the seventh, you know, of Saturn, you know,
yeah,
the 7 seals of Saturn, you know. So we're now in so that's what it means, you know. It means that the coming of, you know, all these cycles of 7, you know, it's called God's clock, you know. It's the 7 days and you rest in Sabbath, you know. It's the creation of earth and such like, and then you've got
yeah,
the 7 days of 7, which is the 49 days plus 1 day, which is the Pentecost, you know, and you know, that's coming out of the Canaanite, the Canaanites, and then after that, you've got the 7 years and the rest on the Sabbath, you know, And so that's the 49 years, and the one's the Jubilee. And then you've got the 7 years of 70, or 70 years of 7, which is the 490-year cycle. You know what I mean? And then you've got the 70 years times 7 times 7, which is the 3,430-year cycle, which is from the start of Daniel prophesying to the second coming of Christ. And then in amongst that, you've got that multiplied by 7 is the radius of Saturn around the Sun, but the actual 7, that's just a wee bit put into it. But the other 7 is the 1,000 years. You know, we will be on Earth for 6,000 years, and then God will wipe us all off the face of the earth for 1,000 years to let the land rest. You know, and these are the 7 seals, the 7 seals of Satan, Saturn or Satan. You know, but ironically enough, Saturn fits into the 7s as well, because it's just another fraction. The dates are all fractionalized around 7, and I don't know if it's a coincidence or not that one of the 7s fall into the exact specifications of Saturn astronomically. I've only concentrated on that planet just now. This is just coming out of astro websites and everything. This isn't listening to waffle on YouTube and stuff. I think I'll go there next, you know. But the other 7 things is the 7 heavens and the 7 earths created by the 7 generations of gods. The 7 generations of gods, the 7 seals of Saturn. You know, that's the 7,000 years, isn't it? You know, the moon's wobble. You know how you get the supermoon and stuff, and it's actually got a wobble on it. But that wobble is actually called the libration, the Libra. You know, the ISIS movement. You know, and that's supermoons coming closer to the Earth, and how that symbolizes sort of significant religious events. You know, Jupiter is a 1,000th of the mass and a 7th of the radius of the Sun. Where is it? Yeah, Diaz is also lightning bolt, blazing star. Same. That's what it means. It's Jupiter. Yeah, that's as far as I've got. To be honest, the rest of it I've already just mentioned, and it's sheer speculation until I can't.
7's everywhere.
Oh, you got the
7 continents, 7 oceans, 7
sealed.
kings of Israel, 7 kings of Israel.
Magnificent 7.
Yeah.
The 7 seals in the Book of Revelations.
7 seals. Yeah. There you go.
Just checking to see if I've missed anything out. You know. Just you know.
Deep shit that, but you know.
Well, it's relevant to over this
It
week.
It's relevant. It's relevant. But
and another cycle that's relevant as well that I forgot to mention was the Hanukkah. You know, one of that 490-year cycles. If you take it all the way back, one of them falls on the exact date of the siege of the Second Temple, where the old story where they were sieging a temple and they only had enough oil to light the lamp for one night, but it lasted 8 days. Okay, the second day, when they realised that it was a miracle, falls exactly on the day that the holy doors were opened, and that's called the Hanukkah, or the Festival of Light. You know,
this is the Maccabees, isn't it?
Well, it all ties in with the whole justice and mercy, 7th house, Libra, Isis. You know, mixed religions all coming into the one. You know, it's like I say, whether you or I believe it, you know, it's all out there, and that's what's happening right now, sort of within this week. You know, although I'm not worried by it, it's quite fascinating. Yeah, and they put candles in their windows for 7 days. 8 days. What else have we got here? what I've gone over, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting stuff, that religion. It's deep though. It's deep. I mean, like I said, I was raised in started off my younger days in a Catholic school and getting
Mm,
all that. Uh, what was it called with the whole communion and all that? But for,
mm,
I ended up in a non-denominational school by the time I was 11, because I wasn't having any of that anyway. Well, I was at school, I just didn't believe none of it. And me and Catholic school didn't agree.
yeah.
Because I just didn't, even at that young, I was just arguing about it. Nah, that can't happen. Nah, not having it.
Yeah, I live up in the Highlands. All the teachers up here, or when I was in school, used to walk around with bats. He used to have that big capes on, hats and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I
yeah.
think I mentioned in a hangout a couple of days ago about one particular teacher, Miss Blease, her name was. I'll never forget her.
Mm,
She was this big fat thing. She was like this big hooked nose with this big wart on it, this black greasy hair. She looked like, like the stereotypical witch, the big. Oh, she was horrible, like you say, with the black cloak and that. And she was taking quite. It was like auditions for the choir, but in like just your form class that you used to go to when you were that young.
mm,
And I was all standing there singing, was walking behind us, and then telling us we were in the choir or we weren't in the choir. And she told me I was in the choir, and I said I didn't want to go in the choir, and that was it. I got picked up by my ears, and I got the stool kicked out from underneath me, and they were just horrible. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, Catholic school didn't agree with me, and school didn't agree with me, or I didn't agree with it.
yeah. It was abuse, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah. So,
Yeah.
this was like, I got this. I'll never forget it because it caused a lot of trouble. I started refusing to call the teachers sir, because when I heard, yeah, I was kind of in that mode where I was calling them sir, but then when they taught me that how you become a sir is because you're a knight, and the Queen knights you because you've done, and then I learned what a knight was. How the knight of the realm would fight and be brave and defend the realm, and I thought to myself, wow. So why is he called sir then? Because he hasn't fought no fucker, and all he does is hit me with rulers. I don't respect it.
His
And
big
and
brother,
I asked one of the female teachers about it. Well, why do I have to call him sir? And she said, well, it's respect. And I said, well, that's what I said. But he hits me with a ruler. I don't respect him. So, it was one of the, but that stuck with me then when I was a kid, and I didn't respect them. I didn't respect teachers, I was intelligent enough for school.
Yeah, they used
I
to
just
beat
didn't.
us in school basically in the 70s and
Yeah,
60s and 70s.
yeah,
You were
yeah,
beaten
yeah.
if you didn't
yeah,
fall into line.
yeah,
You did that
definitely.
until you hit them back with it, and then they don't do it anymore.
Yeah, no, I've been there over years,
Mm.
staplers and heels of shoes and belted, and it was torture, absolute torture, brutal in primary school. I think they did the band the belt when I went into first year. That was the year they
Yeah, they
banned the
still
belt.
had the cane and things like that when I was up to the age of about. In the north, they still had it up to about I think into the 80s still, and they were banning it in London about 80, I think, or late
Yeah,
70s. They weren't doing it.
I think they banned it just after I left. I left
Yeah,
in, I think it was 80 I left.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, 80.
Mid eighties they banned it up here, definitely. In
Mm.
Scotland, I think it was a little bit later up here.
Yeah, I
Everything
think it was
usually
a little
is,
bit later.
just let the Scots fucking suffer for a couple of years longer,
Yeah, they've got to dip the toe in Scotland, haven't they, just to test the waters and make sure everything's okay before they go and throw it on everyone else.
Well,
Poll tax,
that's because
poll
yeah,
tax being the obvious example.
yeah. Well, we're quite hard to rile up, but if you get us riled up, we're quite hard to calm down, So that's the
That's it,
gauge.
isn't it?
You take out all the draconian measures in Scotland, and if they make a noise about it, then oof, don't do that, but they're just sort of quite plussed about it. Then yeah, we'll roll out across the rest of the UK. You know.
I don't think you can rile anybody up anymore. I think Britain, especially more than anywhere else in the world, is dumbed down as more than anybody. I think, personally.
Oh, do you think? Oh, I
Yeah,
don't know about
yeah.
that.
I think we're far more dumb.
Okay.
I think in
Yeah.
general we're more dumbed down than anywhere else,
Well,
and we have been. We always have been since before America was, colonized. I think we were dumbed down.
mm.
I think it's been a
And the,
long process here, and I do. It's like I've said it before about it when what was it? The British. I can't remember what it was. There was a conference, a NATO conference over the. Over what again, as Jam Noise posted today about the Chagos Islands, the Chagosians over what is it, where the American Air Base is now, in the Pacific. Anyway, it was about that,
Yeah.
and where was I going with that? Oh, John Pilger. He was saying he was there at the conference and he met a Russian correspondent, a journalist, the same as him, and he was watching the announcements going out, or like the British decisions on the agreements to abstain on the votes and stuff like that, and no reaction from the British people. And this journalist turned around to him and he said, how have you got your people trained like that? He said it would take us a hell of a lot to get no reaction like that from the people. And that was then. And this is a Russian. We've been indoctrinated to think, nah, they're the brainwashers, they're the Russians, they're all in there at people's heads, and they're people living anyway. They want to buy Levi's for £100, and and this was back in the fucking 80s.
Yeah,
So, like, do you know what I mean? We were indoctrinated to believe they were well. See the point I'm making. And now,
let's face it,
like we were talking about all of this, all this shit going on with Syria and all of that. You look at what's going on. People don't realise that the Russian people get propagandized too. And the Russian people are probably sitting there fucking fuming because they've had a passenger jet shot down one week, and then a fighter jet shot down the following week. And Russia's not doing nothing about it. Why do you think Russia's not doing nothing about it? Do you think it's just playing into people's hands, or do you think they're waiting for their people to get cooked right up? To get right behind them when they go, let's now move our next pawn, because they're all pawns in the same game, as you know.
Yeah. They have to
I don't think the Russians are worried at all.
No, they're not. They're not at all. They know. You think? Look, if it was one of our passenger planes and then one of our fucking fighter planes shot down within 2 weeks of each other, what would we be doing? Because that's what the Russian people have been.
There was an agenda behind that, and as probably
of course there is, but there's a side agenda, there's always multi-layers.
Yeah, but hang on a minute. Yeah, their obvious agenda was to get the S-400s in, but that isn't the only bit of technology that the Russians are now showing to the West. They also have far superior jamming technology. So anything that the West can throw at Russia, they've got an answer for. But the reality is that the Western powers don't give a shit, and they're just going to plow on.
Yeah.
They don't.
If you have a look on the hangout from the night it happened, I can't remember what hangout it was on, but I said, you know what it means now? I think it was just as we cut off. I said, what it means now is that Russia's going to start moving in air defences, which means they can conduct ground wars too. They can bring in the surveillance aircraft. Once they've got air defence in there, they can bring in whatever they want. And now that's another pawn moved. Now it's up to NATO to move another pawn again, like Kip's made videos about the Americans with their air bases up in the north, and they're moving now. They're manoeuvring. Once these people start manoeuvring for a war, and that's what that is. These people are manoeuvring for war. And once that gets that momentum, it takes it. It's not hard to pull. It's not easy to pull that back. And
Yeah, can I just add
that's the way it's heading.
another layer
For
on
me,
top?
this is all of that border confusion is just going to turn out to be another one of those what stories like what do you call them? The shot in Austria, the confusion story to start World War One, the
Yeah,
confusion story to start World War Two, and here's where it all begins for World War Three. Ground war starts there. Abe gets involved, then it spreads off through Turkey. Turkey gets involved. That's NATO. NATO's involved.
yeah,
It
yeah,
spreads. That's the way I see it. That's what I see coming.
yeah. But
Me,
this isn't independent, Murph. Murph, this isn't independent countries doing tit for tat, like, you know, or you see, yeah, I know, but the nations of the countries that have got military in that area, they have to be at least led under the perception of this is just another just cause. You know what I mean? If people actually find out that this is just a continuation of the Crusades, you know what I mean? The second wave of the Crusades, and there is no just cause. This is a uniformed effort from all countries to go in and wipe out the Middle East for the expansion of Israel. Then people will be dead against it. You know what I mean? And they've got all this tit for tat stories and everything, and people are
which is what I'm saying.
Just now we're discussing, if Russia do this and Turkey do that and China do that, and
Yeah, which is what I'm saying. It wasn't Franz Ferdinand, the shooting Franz Ferdinand that caused the First World War. But that's the story we've been sold. That's what we've been sold, and we'll get sold
yeah, I was going
because
to
of the
say though,
First
just
World
to add
War.
to what Murph was
We'll
saying
get
before
caused
about
at
the
the sale of the start of
propagandization,
the First World
and
War
to say I
because
don't know
Turkey
about
shot down a Russian airplane.
us being, yeah, we are propagandized here, yeah, massively, but other countries
definitely.
are also massively, and they're done in a different way, and the different techniques are used on the different cultures. You see, so it is everywhere. It's right across the planet. So I'd say there are people like us. We're not in there's lots of us who are thinking, and they're trying to shut down that in various ways. In the sense of disruption or whatever. And muddying the waters with silly hoaxes and bullshit that you see online, to get people just to get back to work or get back to the matrix, and if you want to
Reality.
call it that. So we've got to just do what we do and speak how we speak. And again, it's happening to us. We get angry, we get upset because we see it happening to us, and we get upset with people around us who don't see it the way we see it. But we just got to be calm and know that, throw out the odd fish here and there, and we just, people will start. They can see it with their own eyes. I think a lot of people are in, they don't want to speak out, or they're too, scared of their, friends, family, or their work or whatever. So it's difficult for people. They've made it quite hard anyway. If you go against the normal narrative of the mainstream or whatever. I think people do. I mean, they still have conversations. People do see it, but they don't see it until it's happening on the doorstep, so to speak. They've got it so conditioned, but there's more of us who now see a bigger picture.
Yeah, because we're a good few generations
it's a
in
war
now.
base. We've got a lot to do. We've got to help our own communities. We've got to, make people aware of what's going on in other countries who are being, totally, ravaged economically and, being killed off. And like you say, the Middle East is that's been going on for so long, in various shapes and forms over the decades or over the thousands of years if you go back. So it seems to be a never-ending sort of conflict we have in ourselves, and we continually, just try and, there's those of us who are awake, like Murph mentioned, the TV series from the 70s. People have been awake forever. It's just the power that they have using the magic of the words, like you were saying before, the numerology, and God knows what else they feed into our psyche, into our subliminal. So we don't even know sometimes we're acting out a spell and we're playing in a game, a theatre. So it's a difficult one. I mean, like I say, it's a war. We're in a war. We've got literally a war maybe happening, a physical war, but the war's on us. It's on us. And we've got to wake up to that. And lots of us have been. And it's just they're trying to bring in different things to make it difficult, or to make you look stupid and silly if you speak out, or whatever it is. But But the fact of the matter is, we are speaking out, and they can't shut us up. So that's the way humanity is. They're not going to be able to do their mind tricks on us too much longer.
Well said,
Yeah,
Peter. I mean, it's not just the physical war that we see propagandized through the media and the television. It's the war on consciousness.
Yeah.
yeah.
And just I
That's
mean,
the main part
I
of it.
can only speak for myself, but don't be fearful for speaking out.
Yeah,
Even when people, your family, the closest nearer to you, they ridicule you and call you conspiracy theorists and this, that, and the other. I mean, I tell myself, stand by my own convictions, that I know that I'm speaking the truth.
Somebody
And
calls me a
truth
conspiracy
will
theorist in
prevail
Liverpool.
eventually. And I think you're spot on. I think there's many levels of this war. And again, like what Murph was saying, when you revisit some of these old TV programs, when you revisit some of the old music, even art and literature, that people have known about the system. If we're going to put a term or coin to it, people have known this forever and more. But the difference between the past and today is that the majority of the world is literate. They can read. People are waking up to the truths, and it's just a matter of time. And I mean, what I say, the sort of, if you wanted to call it a tactic, is that all we can do is sow a seed, and if that seed resonates with somebody, they'll come back and they'll talk to you, and they'll want to find out more, or they'll go away and do their own research, and they'll have their own flourish, they'll have their own aha moment where the light bulb comes on and they realize that they've been a slave.
It's a hard one to take as well.
You know what? You know what I see?
You realise you are.
It's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Do you know what's a big contrast when you look at things for me? When I look at
that's the reality of our lives. We are under that sort of. And when you say you're free, I mean, John Harris used to say this in his talks back in the day, and use analogies and descriptions to describe what he meant by being really free. You're not really free because you need paperwork, you need legislation, you need, you can't just jump on a boat and row over to France, which is only 20 miles, get off there and go and book into a hotel. What will they ask you for? They ask you for a passport, and you say, I haven't got a passport, and so you're not supposed to be here. So you literally have to go back to the prison that you've escaped from, and they send you back if you've not got the proper documentation. So it's that kind of thing. So it's just, yeah, I mean, it's like freedom. People are suspicious. They built up all this paranoia and everything else throughout our ages, and it's been going on for so long. We're just thinking it's normal to.
What's that noise? Sorry.
I think it's Murph. Has he got a trouble with his mic? I think. Is that you, Murph? Can you hear us?
I don't know. Is that I've got? Is it still up? Is it okay?
You can't.
Hello?
Yeah, I think it sounds fine.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
Can you hear me, Frank? Yeah, Frank, can you hear me? Frank, can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Frank?
I can't hear Murph. Can you all hear me, yeah?
Becky?
I can't hear Murph.
Becky? Okay.
You might need to drop out and come back in because I got no audio.
Okay.
I can't hear him.
I'll drop out. Tell him I'll drop out because 4 people can't hear me.
Okay, well, Murph says that he'll drop out because I think it's his fault because there's 4 people can't hear him. Can you hear me?
Needs to come back in. Yeah, if he comes back in. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, loud and clear. Murph's mic went a bit funny. It goes a bit funny sometimes. I think he's done that a couple of times when he's been in. I lost my track of thought there. What was I on about?
Freedom starts in the mind, Peter.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's the hard thing when you come to a realization and things. I think that's where we've said in the past, it's hard for people. People You know, this stuff can make you very angry or very upset initially.
Can
And that's
everyone hear me now?
yeah, I can hear you now, Murph. Yeah, I couldn't hear before.
Okay, nice. Carry on, Pete. Then, sorry, mate. Sorry to disturb you.
No, no, it's okay. Yeah, just like I say, we're just talking about. I don't know if you could hear me. Could you hear what I was saying? Could you hear
Do you
us?
know what? I could, mate, but I kind of lost track between the green and the brandy. I lost. I'm trying to get
Okay.
myself logged back in. I've lost track of what we were talking about.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
I got knocked off there as well. Did anybody else get knocked off?
No, no, we were fine.
All right,
Yeah.
no, I got knocked off there as well. My signal dropped out. That's twice it's happened to me in this call.
Ah,
Been getting
What about
bad luck.
organic? Are you still here, organic?
Yeah, I'm still here.
because you could hear me, couldn't you, Fag?
Yeah, I could hear you. Yeah,
But nobody else could.
no,
No, couldn't hear.
and
I
then
do now.
and then after you dropped out, I asked all the three of you if you could still hear me, and none of you were responding, and it was like I was just in the chat room myself, and then I get dropped out, and my phone, I ended up with no signal, and then came back on and came back in again. I think we're getting weird shit done to us, like
Yeah.
either that or it's a common cause, but it knocked my signal off there.
Google
Getting a
again.
little bit close to the truth.
Yeah.
Are we? I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
I think we'd like to think so, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Well, I hope not. I hope I'm just barking out
Well,
completely wrong.
listen, I mean, I think it's obvious to anybody with an ounce of common sense, and even common sense. I don't know if you know about that. Common sense was a shire.
hmm
Common purpose.
It's kind of obvious to anybody with an ounce of common sense, should I say, should dare use that we are close to the bone. We do know what's going on, and everybody in the chat knows what's going on. That's why they're here. You know what I mean? This is why I hate it. This is why I hate it when I see them all fighting in there, because they're all on the same page. They just
Yeah.
got a different. They just didn't get to that page by the same means. Some of them were on 19 and turned to 20. Some of them read the book backwards, and some of them just opened it at that page. But give each other a chance and get together and work your heads out. All these together can sort this. Everybody together can solve it all. Arguing with each other, you can't.
I think working out the cycles
What, mate?
and how that relates to astrological terms, even basic astrological terms. If you just start explaining to people about the moon cycles and the bigger moon cycles and the bigger moon cycles than that, and how that fits in with the dates of their religion, and the penny drops. Even if they don't want to believe it, they still understand it. They still
The truth is, there is no
have that
religion.
logical understanding of it. Sorry.
The truth is, there is no religion, there is no spoon, there is no nothing, just your existence and what you do with it. And it doesn't matter what previous existences did with their existence, it doesn't matter what future existences do with theirs. You've got a problem in yours right now that you need to solve. This is what my point is. Fuck yesterday, fuck tomorrow, sort today out.
Well, personally, I've got a wee kind of just niggle in the back of my head. Yes, there's no religions, there's no nothing like that. The only thing there is what we can see, and maybe what we can't see even. I mean, the sun, the moon, and the stars. And but there is this time immemorial harbinger of something is going to come, and it comes repetitively. You know what I mean? And it ties in with the movements of the stars and the sun and the moon. That is for a fact. Because it's historical dates and things that go back to times when there has been sort of weird cosmic upheaval, in the near future either as well, and so I think a lot of it lies back to that, maybe not the destruction of the earth, or maybe there is something that happens at a certain time that pings something our way, or we go through a dust cloud, or a belt, or a comet tail, or just whatever, and that happens routinely, like clockwork. Give or take a couple of seconds every millennia, but I imagine it runs like clockwork, and there is more precise mathematical number bases that people use to make these calculations in the past, which are generally considered to be more accurate than we are today. If you take figures on the 60 base, the way we run our clocks, and angles and degrees, and fractions, and
we've also changed a lot of measures and shit over the years from through
well,
the imperial measurements to
well,
what
a lot of them.
multi-millimeters and so to get things accurate to the way they did, we've changed it, so it blares what the truth is of what they said and the truth is of what we're saying, all of that.
Let me
can't
finish.
believe all that shit. Again, something else. I can't believe nothing, mate. Honestly,
Yeah,
especially
so
with
let me finish to what I was getting at, because in days of old, like the 60 base system, like we've now got the metric base, it's all tens and hundreds and stuff, but back then it was a 60 base, and the calculations are a lot more precise. And when you talk about astrological terms, the calculations that we use today, okay, we say that the moon is X amount of miles.
Right, Fag's gone blank, or is that just me?
I think he's dropped. He must have
Has he
dropped
dropped?
connection.
I can't hear him either.
What was he saying, that the measurements are far more precise today?
I would say the complete opposite.
I was going to say that if that's the case, then how come we look back at the stuff that the ancients did
What about the
and find them
Dogon?
so precise, and we can't duplicate it if we're so
that's
precise
why.
in our measurements today?
Yeah, that's why that some would say that feet and inches are still an accurate measurement.
Exactly, and so why do we keep changing it from?
It's not precise. It's an approximation of a third. But when you go back down to the 60 base calculations, they are way, way more precise. I mean, and I mean fantastic.
Ancient ones. Ancient calculations, yeah.
Calculations. And
fuckers done that in their heads. They done that in their heads, and they try to tell us now that we're more advanced than them. There's no chance on earth we're more advanced than them. Maybe with the technology in front of our eyes that they've put on show, we are more advanced than them. But we as a people,
that's where the whole psyop comes in.
Nowhere near as advanced as them. Not in our minds.
That's how the whole psyop comes in, though, because we can't work it out, because we've got a metric-based system. That means our calculations on a mass level are approximately a third down. So if we don't, approximation of a third, so we don't hit that exact point, what I mean?
Yeah, well,
then, but that approximation of a third could be 10,000 years out. You know what I mean?
You think about
over a length of time.
There's 25.4 millimeters in an inch, right? There's 25.4, but when people are estimating 20, what is that in inches? They'll just go for the 25 and it'll just be 4 to 100 mils, 4 inches. Yeah. Because you'll get boxes of nails that are 100 mil, and a joiner, and I'm a joiner, or whatever, they'll say just grab the 4-inch ones, but the 100 mil ones are not 4-inch, they're 100 mil, but you say grab the 4-inch screws, right? Now, but if you try to do that over the scale of the size of the building, you couldn't do that, because you're going to be that 0.4 out over the whole length of the building.
Exactly. That's fine example.
And this is why back in the day when they measured things, they measured them far more accurately than we did. Otherwise, we wouldn't even keep chopping and changing our scales. The imperial scale was far better than the metric.
Yeah, but even going further than that, you know, like it's further down. Yeah, exactly. It's a good example. And but as sheeple, we can't actually have an understanding of the calculations because although we've got the right logic in our head and basis to make or foundation to make that calculation from, we'll always end up approximately a third wrong, you know,
Yeah,
and so that's for the sheeple, you know, the people who
yeah.
actually do all the calculations, you know, the
Not
astrologers
just the
and
mathematics, mate, is it?
scientists, Kabbalists, and all the other people. That is the calculating system that they use, and it's much more precise, you know, down to the microsecond precision, you know, because it's a 60 base counting system. You know, you still counted with your hands, you know, like metric base we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whereas a 60 base would be 1, 2, 3, you know, on each finger. I'm not sure, I don't know if we can see that. So that would be 1, 2, 3, count each bone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh no, it's just in the one. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then you put that up. Okay. And then you start counting again. So it's actually in one hand or in two hands, you can count up to 60 instead of 10.
Yeah.
That's an example of how precise it is. You know what I mean? Because whatever calculation you make, you can fractionalize that by a sixth instantly. You know what I mean? And so then you can make more accurate
Mm.
decisions if you understand
Yeah,
that.
they had far more complicated mathematics than that though as well back in the day. I
Well,
mean, when
that's
you look
that's the
at,
basis of it. That was the
yeah,
counting system. You know,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, 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 I understand. I
they,
understand
they
that.
count they counted in sixes, you know, like so when you would write it down, it would be, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be 1, 2, 3,
It's
and then on
funny.
top
I
of each
always
other
found
4,
that was
5,
the
and then be
easiest
another.
times table to remember. I don't know if anybody else, but I found the 6 times table was my easiest one to grasp.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I don't know whether I'm unique there or whether that's just maybe everybody or maybe a large people. Maybe that's why people it was counted in sixes.
Veronic, you
But
are.
like I said, I mean, like the like I've been watching things about Archimedes lately, and I can't get it in my head how the hell you could even imagine putting a section of a cylinder inside a cube and then dissecting it in half and then taking slices of that and working out the equation that it's just how the hell did his head work? Now you can't tell me that we are more advanced today when there was people like him around then.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
How could he even conceive of that?
Well,
Because nobody today could conceive of that. You know, very few people today can conceive of, you
that's
know,
that's because that's because it was another train of thought. You know, we are our own reality. You know that's we make our own reality, and if you count
I can
different
understand people thinking that
different
today, but not then.
yeah. Well, if you've got a different set of mathematics and a different set of logics to base it from, then you're going to come up with a different set of the
Well, yeah,
same answers,
I suppose, yeah.
you know,
I
but in a
suppose,
more
yeah.
advanced way, you know, because we're not taught to think that way or use that way, you know, but that was a more advanced way. Like you say, we've dumbed ourselves, we've been dumbed down, you know, and it's been like since ever since the Gregorian calendar was put in place and the metric system, just all sorts of things. You know, when we had a 10 base metric system rather than a 60 base.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, you know, it was designed to make us not understand. You know, I would imagine that at the moment that they put that in was exactly after they dumbed down fucking
China,
what continent that they wanted to impose it on. You know, they burnt all the books,
China
them
fault
down
as a species,
generation,
though.
nobody could read or write, and it's like, oh, okay, this is the way it is. You know what I mean? 10 base,
Exactly, yeah. It's
60s
our
the
own
dead.
fault as a species, though, even now, if you think about it, when most people can read and write, because we still just accept it. You know, they come up with something and tell the masses, look at this is what happened with this, and, you know, That's why. And we just accept it. We just say, oh yeah,
Well, it's
oh
the
yeah.
devil's work.
You know, but we don't think for ourselves anymore. We don't want questions. A lot of people don't want questions anymore. They want, and if they do have a question, they want the answer. They want them to somebody, whoever's asking the question, to give them the answer as well. You know, like, well, look at this, but you can't work this out. Go on then, tell me.
Yeah.
And you've got to tell them the answer. And it's like, and people have been manipulated to be that way. To look at the back page of the quiz book. You know, it's like nobody wants to know anything. Nobody seems inquisitive anymore, and you get discouragement with you know, curiosity kill the cat and things like this. That we've.
I think they call that being spoon-fed, Murph, don't they?
Sorry, mate.
I think they call that being spoon-fed, don't they? That's why if you do,
it seems to be inherently human to me, mate. To want shortcuts.
Well, isn't that another
like a toaster, a kitchen, a kettle, a cooker, or your appliances, everything. But not just with that, with everything, with your languages. I mean, like in Liverpool, we'll cut everybody's name down to the bare minimum. Somebody's called Patrick, we'll call him Pat. You know, somebody calls Paddy, I'll call him Pad. You know, it's I don't know. I can't. It seems to be a human thing for us to abbreviate everything.
Isn't that another program where the attention has been whittled away, where people, I mean, how many people do you know are reading books still, or are they watching it on the TV or a video, or it's like the 5-minute attention span.
I know a few people that tell me they read books, but that's a bit.
I get loads.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, Frank. I know what you mean, mate. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It seems the attention span. That's why sometimes when you're talking to somebody, that you need more than 5 minutes to explain quite a complex situation. And I mean, from my experience, it's like, well, I haven't got time. I haven't got time for this. And maybe they haven't got time to listen to me. They don't want to listen to me.
Even us are just as bad. I can't. You know, people can't seem to pay attention to the things I'm trying to tell them for more than 10 minutes. But I can't spend more than 10 minutes trying to convince them either. You know, if they're not getting it, I'm like, fuck, you're frustrating me, and I'll just like, go away. But they're getting like, fuck, he's doing my head in. You know, I don't get what he's talking about. So you just end up annoying me with it. What, mate?
Perhaps it's all in the water and the food.
In the water. In the water, mate. In the water, mate.
Yeah, I think when you're trying to explain things to people, then you have to really find like a point that they would understand first to start off from. You know, it's like a common point. You know, something that's really simple and really relevant to what's going on at the moment, and then you break them in that way, and then sort of just build them up. And you know, I've had conversations with people, you know, and they're not into what I want to say about just what's on the news or what's going on around, and I just kind of gently break them in, you know, and the next thing you know, it's like or the next day they come in and they're like, oh, you fucking see that? There's another bit about that in the fucking news again. That's fucking scandalous, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's only taken one day from them. Beats me like that to actually join in the conversation, because just that little starting point, you know, make them understand instead of overwhelming them with absolute nonsense. I was talking about this the other night. I've got a mate that lives away up in the valley, and he talks absolute nonsense, you know, and it's the keywords, you know, it's all keywords of what we've been talking about. You just can't join the dots, you know, and it's driving them mad, and you try and sit down and explain it to them or as best as you can, you know. And just, is there an echo, man? Am I creating an echo here, man?
It might be me dropping ice in my glass. Is that what it is?
So yeah. You still
Everyone's
like?
still. Hello.
Hello.
Who's here? Peter still here?
We're still here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Can't
somebody.
hear you. Let's all tell Becky we can't hear it.
So, Becky, what's we sat here waffled on about loads of other things, but what was the actual? I didn't get a chance to. What was the actual theme of the hangout today? Do you know?
Oh, that was it, actually. So, yeah, y'all covered it pretty well. So,
Laugh.
Yeah, that was a bit of
What was
trivia. I said I wasn't going to talk about this today. Here we go. Wow, talked about it again.
it? What was the theme actually, Rick? I missed it. I know we might have covered it, but what was the theme on it?
the New World DisOrder, Seasons of Change.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Seeds of change, winds of change.
Yeah.
Follow the squad. Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of things actually reference to the big change, and the journey, and referencing to this is going to be the last Christmas as we know it, and whoa, what do you feel about that? Is this going to be the last Christmas? Is next year going to be the year of chaos, and everything's going to go absolutely tits up like people predict? What's your thoughts?
Party like it's 99.
I've got a question, right? Because I kind of got offended by something this morning. I seen a meme, right? It's a black girl holding a sign saying, Donald Trump is the symptom, white supremacy is the disease. And I commented on it and I said, please explain to me how this is not racist. And I actually came up with I think I came up with a term myself. I said it because for me, this is anti-Caucasianist, right?
Well, that's just a
Well,
matter of
please
perspective,
explain
though.
it. Well, hold on. No, it's not. It's not a matter of perspective because, I'm white. I've got nothing in common with Donald Trump, right? Apart from being white. Why is being white? Well, I made the comment, and anyway, let me make the point first. I made that comment, and somebody come back to me and went, so is white supremacy good? And I thought to myself, where in my comment is have I even indicated that that's remotely my angle?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
What was it? Just her with a sign, or was she in a crowd, or what was
She was
she?
in a crowd. She was in a crowd. There was a couple of other signs, but I think you
Yeah,
probably think I posted it on my wall. But if you go to the original post, you'll see the comments that I'm talking about. But
yeah,
I made it. In fact, the comment that I posted on the original post is what I headlined my share of it with. You'll see it, the African girl with like an orange dress, orange sign, saying with
yeah.
that sign and a few other signs behind it. But yeah, go
Well,
on. So
photos like that are put out for shock tests.
yeah,
Okay, and,
oh,
and, and for exactly that point, to see what people think about that photograph.
mhm.
Because if that photograph is just there of an African girl, and she's got a sign to, what's it, Trump's a symptom, supremacy is
Trump,
the virus,
Trump,
or
yes,
something. You know,
white supremacy is the disease.
yeah.
Trump is the symptom. White supremacy is the disease.
Me personally, I wouldn't think of that on first respects as, well, what's the difference? Somebody saying, like, fucking, I don't know, something about blacks, they get called racist, but she was in a crowd, is the thing. You see, you don't actually know context that photo was shot.
Don't even know if it said that on it. I don't even know. You don't even know, mate, if what it said on her placard was actually on the placard of that girl. That could have been what it said there could have been photoshopped on. I understand all that. The point I'm making, the point I was making is, I see a couple of agendas working there. There's this white genocide agenda. You wouldn't know which angle that came from.
Well,
I got offended by it. It was the point, because I got really annoyed when seeing it. I don't normally fall into that. Should somebody else do?
That's the whole point of the picture, to get you pissed off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I said I got offended by it. And I said, but I think I made a valid point as well, because I see a couple of agendas going on. I see the anti-racist agenda going on. But I also see a pro-racist white agenda going, white apartheid, white genocide agenda going on as well. I see two things going on. I see a double-edged sword. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the whole point. They're trying to get everybody hating each other.
Yeah.
It's the whole point of shit like that.
Yeah.
But there's a very look. That's okay, getting us to hate each other, but there's a very real outcome of what their agenda is here with all of this immigration into Europe. They've been corralled and pointed this way, right? There's a very real agenda to dilute the white race down here, but there's also a very real agenda to get the white people to be anti-racial, to be anti-racist. So while these brown people on boats are invading us, we're all fighting the people that are fighting the people that are trying to tell us that the brown people are coming. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just to keep the game. It's just to keep the game being perpetually played. It's to keep us eating ourselves.
Yeah.
Yep.
And to turn our attentions around, instead of looking at the people who are really the problem.
But there's a very real point. What I'm saying is, right, we've got to stop, right, if I make it very, very clear, we've got to stop the brown people getting here, and I'm not being racist by it. What I'm saying, what I'm doing, what I'm trying to point out here is that even though I see through what they're trying to do and get me to be a racist and to make it all racial, it's not. What I'm now trying to say is that I still need to defend my genetic, my race, who I am.
Wow.
Do you see what I'm saying? And I think
to a point, but I also can understand that.
I think they're trying to genocide the white race.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You don't think it matters if you genocide the white race? So you don't think it matters? No, I know that, but what I'm saying is, you don't think it matters.
At the same time, I can't understand what any of these are trying to say.
No.
Talking stick.
Yeah, so you don't think it matters that in 100 years from now, if there's not a single white person left on this planet?
No, not really.
It doesn't matter.
Well,
but that plays into their agenda. And I'm not being racist by it. I mean, I don't care on a racist point of view. What I think, my concern comes from a dilution and a drone and a singularity. The singularity they're trying to push us into. It's not about race and being different to me. It's about playing their game. This is what they want. They need us all to never be able to claim.
These people are people,
to anything.
you know, and you know, we are trying to get alienated against these people because of this other issues that are being created in amongst a group of people. But at the end of the day, they're a group of people. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I know, but
no, let me finish. You're saying here, in 100 years' time, would you want the white race to be wiped out? Okay, now that's not actually the question. Now, in 100 years' time,
every race. I'm talking about every race, not just the white.
Okay, right. I'll let me finish, okay, dude?
Yes, sorry, go on.
If in 100 years' time that everybody is getting along with each other quite fine, that, you know, people are marrying people from all over the world and having babies from all over the world, and everything is done all happily and in peace, like in normal society. Not a problem.
With
Absolutely not a
500
problem.
million
The
of it.
problem I
With
have with
500.
is people who
What,
are
what that
sitting
what
there
that
are being
is five.
scared to the
No,
core
no, no,
about
no,
something
no.
that isn't actually happening.
No, no, I like it the way it is. I like the dive. I like. Do you know what? Right, I'll put it this way. Right, I got asked the question when I went to work for British Airways. If you could go anywhere you wanted in the world, where would you like to go? And I said I'd like to go back to Toronto. It's the most diverse place in the world, and I can go for a 10-mile walk, and I can go through Portugal, Italy, Jamaica. I can go through so many places with the smells that are coming from the shop. I want that. That's what I want. I don't want everybody the same and everybody following the same rule and everybody doing the same thing. I want people thinking for themselves. I don't want them all the same colour, the same fucking genetic code, every single thing the same. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about anything racist or anything. I don't give a fuck if we become the same race and it all works perfectly. I want it to work perfectly, but I want it to work as the world that God created or that Creator created. Who are not the God that a religion talks about, the God that my own God, my own personal God.
Let people decide what they want to do for themselves.
I don't want to be corralled into that. I don't want my descendants corralled into that ranch.
Into what though?
Into
Into
that
what?
ranch. Into
What
that
are you
ranch.
saying here?
Into that monolistic fucking singularity, undiverse, nondescript life, that grey, even
Well,
if
that would
everybody
happen
else
if you
is
don't allow
getting,
other people from other
because
countries
humans
into
are
the
not
country.
like that. Humans are not like that. Humans are not like that. They're not all the same. They will never
I
all be
understand.
the
I
same.
understand where you're coming from about being overwhelmed, and that's the purpose, for it, the whole case of where this is a plan to breed us out by the whole Islamic nation is, well, to me, is a complete fallacy. To
No,
be
no, no.
honest,
I never
you
mentioned Islam. I
know,
never mentioned it. I said brown people on boats. I never mentioned Islam. But it's the dilution of all races. But there's a very definite white genocide agenda going on right now, and you've only got to look at me to see it.
well, I think it's a multicultural genocide agenda that's going on at the moment. I don't think it's predominantly white. It's just that we're noticing it as much because it's in our world and it's relevant, and we don't get to see what's going on around the rest of the world, like on our doorstep. But it is a multicultural agenda. We aren't special just because we're white, because we're going to get targeted or wiped out. And I think if we are going to get wiped out, then the vast majority of everybody else is going to get wiped out too. The whole Islam versus Christianity thing is an agenda that has been running for thousands of years, and
Yes.
it's something
Christianity
we've got to
created
deal
Islam.
with, really, and
The
there's
Vatican
muppets on
created
both
Islam.
sides. Sorry?
The Vatican created Islam.
Well, that's not exactly that true either.
Yeah.
But yes, I get where you're coming from. The people who created the three religions created them for that specific purpose, and they are variations of
Islam was
a
created
core.
to take Jerusalem.
Um,
To
well,
take Jerusalem back from the original Christians, according to I can't even remember now, but I'll look it back up because the brandies are affecting me now.
it's the perfect it's the perfect explanation for the final solution. Okay, one nation wiping out another, but wiping out
Yeah,
each other at the same time.
yeah.
It's a perfect solution, is what it is, and we all have to step back from it. And the only way we can step back from it first is if we work it out and see it for what it exactly is, and then you just step back.
Yeah.
If people
It's like
want
a
to come
cycle.
in
It brings me
in
back.
our country, then fine. You know, if they want to come in and cause trouble in the country, then that's fine too. You know, I mean, we have got a social structure that will take care of or potentially take care of anything that gets out of hand, you know. But if people want to come around the world and live with each other in the world, then that's perfectly fine in my book. You know, I mean, it doesn't need a war to make that happen. Yeah, I don't care. You know, brilliant. You know, if I want to go over and live in the Middle East, for example, and you know, I fall in love with a Middle Eastern girl and have Middle Eastern babies, I feel I should have the right to. I should be free to. You know, I mean, and so should everybody else. You know, it's what other people are trying to do that is the problem. It's not the people that's the problem. You know, I mean, these people need woken up the rest the same as Western civilization do as well. You know, and yeah. So I kind of my dad comes out with the same thing. You know, he's like, oh, I don't know what it is, and yeah. I don't really know how to explain it properly. You know, I totally understand where you're coming from. Definitely, utterly on all angles. I mean,
kind of brings me back to where we started in the first place, really. But when I said that understanding all of this religion and how we got here, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what colour we are. It doesn't matter what continent we were born on, what brought us to that continent. The problem is we've got a very real problem right now that we all need to deal with. And the working man that isn't getting anybody that's getting oppressed in every country, no matter what fucking colour they are, need to get together somehow. And the internet is the only way I can even comprehend of before these shut us down and work out a way of sorting these fuckers out once and for all. And like I said, we just name every kid and king and every person on the planet king, queen, prince and princess, so nobody can ever come back and ever claim the right to king again, because everybody on the planet's a fucking king.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. We need to get together and be able to, you know. There's no point in people with disinformation and that information fighting each other, because the information gets lost and we never get to find out what the information is, because the people that know are too busy fighting people that they differentiate with on a minuscule level. You know, and I don't know. I've seen it too much of it lately on here and through the hangouts, and I don't know. Like I say, I've got disheartened. I'm getting disheartened. It's like I'm banging my head against a brick wall, and it's okay to understand how dots all join, but without, you know, we all know where the dots end. We know where the dots end, and we know what they're doing, and we can't wake up the masses. That the people that we need to wake up, we can't seem to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We need to
save your pennies up and go to the southern hemisphere if you're not worried about it. You know.
Nah, just come to Iceland.
Well,
I think well.
You know.
Sorry.
I say I don't think that'll do you any good. I think the southern hemisphere, if it is going to go upside down like everybody's implying, then I think travelling south is the best option.
Then maybe Greenland, and I can just get to the middle of that, and yeah, but yeah, maybe to Fiji or maybe New Zealand. I wouldn't go to Australia. New Zealand, maybe Fiji.
Going to Brazil, me, like, you know.
Sorry?
Brazil.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Why is that? Because wasn't it Nostradamus said only the elephant nation shall survive? And I think when we say the elephant nation, and everything's a bit of a quiz with it. What word am I looking for? Everything's a bit
of. Nostradamus said what? You broke up there, dude.
He said that only the elephant nation shall survive. We're talking about a nuclear holocaust. But if you look at South Africa on its South America on its own, it looks like the profile of an elephant with its trunk kind of curled back a little bit.
Yeah, but the elephant nations are the nations that are below
India and Africa, that's what everybody says, yeah. That's what everybody says in the Asia and...
Have you got headphones, mate? You're squeaking.
I think they've just caved in. Do you know why they're squeaking? Because I sat my phone on my laptop again. Is that okay now?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, below the southern hemisphere, you know, southern India, southern Africa, you know.
Yeah, but the elephant nation, what do you reckon now? Because people say Africa and India or Asia, you know, like the African...
The hemisphere in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere don't mix. So if any severe incidents happen, like, I don't know, for example, one day somebody blows up the oil fields of Saudi Arabia, then the northern hemisphere is going to be the atmosphere is going to be a little bit in tatters for quite a while. You know, so the only people that will survive are the elephant nations, and are the ones that are below the southern hemisphere, and which makes perfect logical sense to me.
Yeah, but he didn't work in... Nostradamus didn't work with logic. Everything about it was all kind of illogic.
Everything about him was logic.
Or illogic.
No, everything about him was logic. That's the thing, because you just can't see it.
Okay, then. So what? I'd say he wasn't talking about the nations that have elephants in them. He was talking about the one that looks on the map like an elephant.
Okay, and what's that then?
Because if you look at South America, to me it looks like an elephant. I think there's always something under everything, though.
Yeah, probably.
You know, I've looked at the shapes of other countries. What country is he talking about? What the elephant nation doesn't mean the nation that has elephants in it, I don't think, because there's more than one. So why would he say the elephant nation? Because there's more than one nation that has elephants. So why would he say the elephant nation? Because that could mean anywhere. And if it's pure logic, then why would he say one when there's more than one?
Well, I would imagine somewhere would be a good place to start is go and have a look up and see what the term the elephant in the castle mean. You know, the elephant and castle, they've got named down in London. You know,
yeah.
And have a wee look just to see what elephant castle mean. Then
what
that might give you quite a head start into what you're looking for, because...
What you tell me? What does it mean? Tell us.
I don't know. I don't know, but that's what I'm going to do to find out. I'm going to find
Elephants
out
in castle.
what it means, because that might have something to do with what you're talking about.
Why would that have anything to do with... I don't understand why Elephant and Castle would be relevant to the elephant nation surviving. Right. Oh yeah, you mean if its emblem was an elephant or its place?
A castle on the elephant's back. That's what the elephant and castle's emblem is, isn't it? You know, like in London, you get the elephant and castle area, and its logo, its badge is an elephant with a castle standing on its back.
That's its back, yeah.
That would symbolise to me as a castle nation. A castle, an elephant nation with a castle on the elephant's back.
Or maybe a nation that had an elephant as its symbol or as its flag or something like that at the time that he wrote that. So, or maybe an elephant. Maybe it just looked like an elephant on the map when he wrote it. You know, these people were simple in their logic.
Yeah. Right.
Have a look at South America, and it looks like an elephant's trunk and an elephant's forehead, but like it just really does, like a big African elephant. But I just can't, because I've thought about it, and if he's if he's being specific, why would he say the Elephant Nation when there's far more than one nation? That's like saying the Tiger Nation.
Oh, I don't know.
Or the Rat Nation. Obviously not as wide ranging, but...
Oh, I don't know. You'd have to look into it, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm not asked about looking into it. I'm more concerned about what's going on than finding out why people said things. But what can you do about it? You know, it's, and I hate it when people
Maybe
say,
organic.
"Oh, that's just the way it is."
Organic. Do you know what the elephant castle means? The symbol?
No, I don't. No.
Organic, sorry.
It's Gaelic.
Organic.
Organic. Oh, Frank.
Hello guys, sorry about that. My computer crashed, and then the internet crashed, and I think I'm about to crash.
We're talking now.
Do you know any idea what that means? The elephant and castle symbol, Frank?
No.
No. Well, why don't we just look it up? Yeah. I'll have a look at it right now.
I didn't realise that was your real name, Frank. I quite like the name Organic. Organic Light's quite a cool name.
It is.
It is, isn't it?
It is. I love it.
Call me what you want.
Elephant and castle.
Organic's cool. Works for me.
It's a red elephant with a castle on its strapped to its back.
Yeah, with a yellow kind of blankets under the castle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kind of African symbology in Britain. I've noticed this with St George's Hall in Liverpool. Now, I'll tell you what. Let me see.
Have you just done a Wikipedia search on it? Because it talks about the Elephant Castle from a 14th century choir stall at Chester Cathedral.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Shakespeare mentions the elephant lodgings in Twelfth Night in Act 3, Scene 3.
Mm-hmm. And does that get any significance? Does it say anything in there in significance to the Elephant Nation of in Nostradamus's prophecies?
I'm just having a look.
Because I was just hazarding a thought there that the Elephant Nation might be the symbol of the Elephant Castle.
So
it's listed in the Domesday Book as belonging to the Archbishop of Canterbury. Known previously as Newington, Newington Butts and Newington Causeway are two of the principal roads of the area. In the medieval period, it was part of a rural Surrey in the manor of Walworth. This is listed in the Domesday Book as belonging to the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Yeah, that's what it is today as well, just in the Walworth, Borough of Walworth, London Borough of Walworth is Elephant Castle. But does it say mythology or anything like that to its original meaning? Because, you know, if it belongs to the Duke of, what was it, Canterbury, you said?
Archbishop of Canterbury.
Archbishop of Canterbury. Well, the Archbishop of Canterbury is of the same stature as royalty, you know, and
right.
So the Nostradamus prophecies of the Elephant Nation will survive, might term back to their heritage, will be the only one that survives, and somehow, in some way, their heritage is connected to the Elephant Nation or the elephant in some way. Maybe it's India.
I never thought of that, you know, the heritage, the DNA of the Elephant Nation. I never thought of that.
Yeah, you know, so that's to reference with the British Empire, India. You know, who would that reference to?
I've just found something else here, and it says, as you say, it's often asserted that the name is a corruption of in Infanta de Castile, usually said to be a reference to Elena of Castile, the wife of Edward I. In Spain and Portugal, the Infanta was the eldest daughter of the monarch without a claim to the throne. That would put Elephant and Castle in the same class of pub names as Goat and Compasses, but like the story of the way that name came into being, it's almost certainly false.
Okay. Well, so they say it's false. Is that in Wikipedia?
No, this is coming from another site. Not least of the problems is that Elena of Castile wasn't an infanta, or at least wasn't known as that. The term only appeared in English about 1600. The one infanta that the British have heard about from school history lessons is Maria, daughter of blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Do you know what infanta
The form
means?
of Infanta de Castile seems to be a conflation of vague memories of two Iberian royal women separated by 300 years.
The sisters of Mercy.
Right.
You two should go to town on St George's Hall in Liverpool. Punch that into
I think it does refer back to.
and just have a look at the architecture there. There's two big there's 4 big lions sitting outside of it. A big statue of Victoria and Albert. Victoria on her horse, Albert on his horse.
I'll tell you, Murph, if you want to look at lions, look at the 7 lions. I think, again, it's 7 lions that are around the city of London, or what I would call the country of London.
Yeah.
You've never you've never seen a building like this outside London. Have a look at this, or outside fucking ancient Rome. Have a look at it, St George's Hall, punch it in, you'll see.
Yeah, I can understand. I know the legend of St. George and the Dragon. You know, that's yeah. So it stands to reason that
I can't film it on my phone.
In the same category, you know. And I would speculate that it probably is the Elephant Castle is referring to the Elephant Nation, which is also a name for the heritage, you know, of whatever fucking thing they're trying to roll out, you know. It all kind of symbolizes to the same, you know. The elephant, is it infata or infatada that you were saying organic?
Hang on a second, I'll go back to it.
Because there's an interesting thing about the Shemitah, you know. The Shemitah translates as the shaking, you know, and in the year of the Shemitah, the Palestinians have also got the what's it, the third intifada that at the moment they're talking about. Now, intifada also means the shaking or to shake, you know. So not only is the Israeli world in the middle of a shake, you know, a major shaking, you know, the Islamic world is also in their shaking also. You know, as that's what intifada means. It means the shaking. You know, and commonly it's been adopted as an uprising, but actually, if you break it down, it does mean to shake. It's exactly the same meaning as the Shemitah, the intifada.
Yeah, it's spelled Infanta.
All right, Infanta. Yeah,
Infanta.
that's
I mean, as you well know, with phonics, you can turn it round, and I mean, it could be.
Father, is that what you're saying? Intifada?
No.
Well, yeah. If you want to use phonics, which they do, you can change around and mix the words around. It's how the sound of the word, not necessarily the spelling of the word.
Yeah.
Spell it again for me, please.
Infanta. Infanta de Castiles.
All right, Infanta de Castiles. Okay.
Yeah.
But this article I'm just reading here links it to Hannibal and his use of elephants.
Okay. Because the word elephant itself is quite a strange term as well, you know. Elephant, you know, ele, Isis, fanta, dead Isis is the elephant. You know, so the Elephant Castle is that like Grasberg, you know what I mean, or like the castle, you know. Dead Isis's castle, elephant and castle. You know, or the castle, or you know, like ISIS. I said this the other day. ISIS is the real one, or the physical one that married King Ramses the Third, or Pharaoh Ramses the Third, or whatever you want to call it. Her full name was Isis Ta in Engelsab. Is it Engelsab? Engelsab, which means tomb in Syrian. You know, so ISIS of the tomb, ISIS of the castle. You know, you know, it's but when the ISIS Ta is walk step by step in reference to death. You know, so elephant, Elephanta and Berg, or Elephanta Berg. You know, and there's a place in Germany called Phantasialand, which is Fanta Castle, basically. And so it does kind of tie in. I don't know, maybe I'm clutching at straws here. The whole Elephanta and Infanta, you know, is got quite specific meanings. And like Organic says, you know, with the harmonics of it, you know, and it plays. You could play that many different ways, and it would mean many different things.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty with phonics, that a lot of times I believe
yes.
that the true meanings are held within the spells. I mean, you know, we go to school to learn spellings. You know, it's spell casting. I look at words are a bit like a duality. They can have a positive or a negative meaning behind the words, and then, I mean, ultimately you can split the words down to each individual character.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, and that's sort of the way the Egyptians used to term their words as well. Like I say, with Ta, you know, Ta is to walk in death, you know, and you've got Ta, which means to come back again, you know, walk away and come back, which is reincarnate, you know, and so for example, you've got Ka and Ba. They both mean the soul, but one is when it's alive, and others was when it's dead, you know. So you in sort of grammatical terms, Ka and Ba is the positive and negative also, you know. So
Yeah, it's like you said the other night. Ka is spirit in Egyptian, and there's something else which I can't quite remember now, but how the Scottish pronounce the R, the raw. I can't do it, but the raw.
oh, the R, yeah,
Yeah,
like rock and roll, yeah.
it's like a roll. A roll. I can't do it.
I can't do it either. I've got a tongue bowling, but yeah, it's rock and roll.
But I think you'll find that is linked back to Egypt as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we are the Egyptians, aren't we? To be honest.
How did the elephant and castle come up, by the way?
It was
I think Murph.
Murph brought it up. Something to do. I can't remember. I'm wasted, Becky. Oh, he's gone now.
Yeah. Brandy got the best of him.
Sorry?
Said the brandy got the best of him.
Yeah, I know. He was drinking a bit, wasn't he?
Yeah. I guess.
I can't remember in what context he brought it up, to be honest. Oh yeah, no. He said that Nostradamus in this prophecy says when the end times come, the elephant nation will survive. Only the elephant nation will survive. So we were trying to work out what the elephant nation symbolized. And,
Well, I get him on the South. Was he saying South America?
he says South America looks like an Indian's head. An elephant.
There's a big aquifer there. That
Yeah.
a lot of the land was bought by the Bushes back in the early 2000s. So
Yeah, yeah, there is, yeah.
could be
And
that. Could
yeah,
be.
quite possibly, yeah. Yeah. And yeah, and the other thing that came up is, the elephants in the southern hemisphere. If you look around the world and see where all the elephants are, the southern Africa and southern India and
Mhm.
southern Indonesia. And I don't know, there's no elephants in South America, is there? But yeah, just South. Was South America? Did Nostradamus know about South America? I'd imagine because of his high status, he would have. But would he have?
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it is, isn't it? It's worth a ponder anyway.
Traditionally, though, like Peter's just mentioned in the room, India, Pakistan, Africa.
Hmm. Well, Pakistan's north of the equator, isn't it? Just slightly. I don't. Yeah, yeah, it is, isn't it? It's got to be. Basically, most of the continent is in the northern hemisphere, and and I was saying it might be the elephant nations, the nations that have elephants in them. It's in the southern hemisphere because of what we were talking the other night about the atmospheres in the north and south don't mix. So if something does go bang, then the people who live in the elephant nations would survive. But that only kind of ties in with whether or not Nostradamus was aware that South America existed at the time that he said it. I don't know.
I don't know about prophecies.
No, no.
His
There's a
story.
there's a prophet up here, or used to live up here. He was called the Bronze Seer, and he made some prophecies that did come true. Um, the Caledonian Canal, this was like 100 years before. He might have had an insight, just in pure engineering and sort of thinking outside the box knowledge. But he said that, like in Inverness, there's a big hill, not I'm not saying a big hill, it's probably maybe about um, 300 or 400 meters wide and maybe 100 meters high. It's a mound in the middle of the centre, and it's the cemetery, and it's always been a cemetery from sort of like ancient times, and so the Bronze Seer was walking past it one day, and he says, in X amount of years' time, I can't remember. I've got the book there. I actually need to see if it's got the sevens and the 99s and specific sort of numbers written within it. Ships will sail past the hill of the dead, and there's a reporter with them writing down all these bits and pieces and stuff, and 100 years later, they built the Caledonian Canal. And for those of you who aren't aware, the Caledonian Canal is the canal that links the east coast of Scotland to the west coast of Scotland, um, from Inverness to Fort William. There's a slash right. If you look at the map of Scotland, you see that slash right across the top. That's the Great Glen, and the Caledonian Canal kind of follows that, and to save people going over the top. And 100 years later, that was like that. And there's a few other prophecies around the area that he's made and has come true. And there's a few that like, for example, there's an eagle stone. Like eagle stone is an old Pictish stone.
Have we lost Fag?
I think so. I thought it was me. Damn. Well, I guess we can continue off air, and if anybody wants to join in the chat, I'll send you a link. got a link. Join in if you don't want to be on the air. So, see you next Saturday, or well, tomorrow actually, and next Saturday.
On that valley, a network of hydro dams, and the stone's fallen twice. So they've got this fucking stone cemented with metal bars around it and cages. You can't go anywhere near it. You know, they fucking totally believe this, and they've got it propped up in a situation that it can't fall down. You know, and but I kind of think that a lightning storm is going to happen one day, and it's going to strike the wall of the top dam, and it's going to flood out, and lo and behold, that'll be the valley back to full river capacity, and boats will be able to anchor to the stone, because they'll be able to go all the way up to Strathpeffer instead of a couple of miles away at the shore. You know, there's like Europe's deepest natural harbour is actually in the firth that goes into that river. The hydros are from the Eagle Stones there, you know. So there is sort of big oil rigs and cruise liners and stuff like that pull up in there and stuff. So that's quite a specific prophecy. And how he died is quite interesting as well, because he was the seer for the Duke and Duchess of Seaforth, and the Duke of Seaforth was over in France on his missions on bequest of the king, you know, and the Duchess of Seaforth was having a party with all her aristocratic friends there, and this isn't that far away from me, and so she called the Brand Seer, you know, party to be the psychic and do all mystical things. And she turned around and said to him, you know, where is my husband right now? And he turned around and says, oh, I don't want to tell you because it would be embarrassing, you know, and she was already embarrassed by then, and says, you know, demanded the prophet, the seer, to tell her. And he turned around and says, well, right now he is on his knees in the lap of a French woman. Basically, he's muffing a French woman right now in France. And she was so offended that she had him burned in a barrel of oil on what's now called the Black Isle, which is just outside Inverness. And yeah, he's quite a famous dude up here, you know, a bit like Nostradamus. Nostradamus was also an occultist or a mystic for nobility, and he also had somebody writing down his prophecies, so there's quite a few similarities between the two. And so obviously his predictions are going to be when the end of the world is nigh, because of who he works for and who he's involved with. When the end is nigh, the only ones that will survive will be the Elephant Nation, and that would have to be in context to the aristocrats that he was serving, because if it was somebody else, he would be killed. So the Elephant Castle, in some weird way, must, or the Elephant Nation must refer back to everything that is bad. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm having audio trouble. So.
Oh, really? Yeah, so what's your thoughts on that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I don't think there's anything coming through from Organic. I think he's muted at the moment.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and end it here, and we can pick it up next time. So,
Nice way to end.
yeah.
Oh, you're there. Excellent. Yeah,
Food
so
for thought.
if anybody's got anything, if they've got some spare time, then maybe investigate into what Elephant Castle actually means and come back and inform us.
Yep.
I'd love to hear it.
Well, good night, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Good night.
Cheers.
Much love, everyone.